Chapter 273, The Bounty. Chapter 273, The Bounty. After Jian Wushuang left, Ling Han asked in amazement, "What's going on, Your Honor?" The sect master of the Daluo Heavens sect handed over the letter to Ling Han. "Read yourself." Taking the letter, Ling Han unfolded it and started reading. Yi Sei, Jun Yi, and other disciples of the sect gathered around him. A bounty? As soon as Ling Han read the letter, he seemed to realize something and continued reading. This letter was about a reward offered by Holy Emperor Palace for two people. The first one was Jian Nantian. Jian Nantian, who is from Tianzong dynasty with half-saint cultivation, killed an expert of the saint realm of us Holy Emperor Palace. Jian Wushuang, Jian Nanshan's son, who is in the initial Yang Void realm and has comprehended the slaughter source and origin of the world, had successfully contended with two experts of the saint realm at one time for a while. He is a top genius of the Nanyang continent. These two people are the mortal enemies of us Holy Emperor Palace. Whoever of the sects or solitary experts kills one of them will be awarded a third-grade magic weapon of high rank. Besides, he will also be able to choose one second-grade source secrets of high rank of the palace from 8 at will. Reading the letter, Ling Han and others were both startled. How formidable they are! Can you believe they're actually father and son? The father killed one expert of the saint realm by one shot while the son, in the initial Yang Void realm, contended with two experts of the saint realm at one time. How incredible! It was indeed incredible. Geniuses such as Yi Sei, Jun Yi, and the others of the Daluo Heavens sect were very gifted, but compared with the two men who were wanted in the letter, they were no match for them. What's more, that two were father and son. Their portraits are below the words. "Take a careful look," said the sect master of the Daluo Heavens sect. Ling Han and others immediately looked down at the two portraits. The first portrait was of an ethereal gray-haired man with whom they were both unfamiliar. The second one was a young man. Looking at him, Ling Han and others were frozen. He is, Ling Han widened his eyes. Yes, he is that swordsman. Jun Yi and Yi Sei gasped. Although this portrait was not that clear, they recognized Jian Wushuang at one glance as they had stayed with him for a few days. He helped them kill Chen Feng and left just now. It was until now that they finally understood why the sect master of the Daluo Heavens sect seemed not surprised at all at Jian Wushuang's killing Chen Feng. The reason was that he had already read the letter before and knew that Swordsman was Jian Wushuang. After all, it was no surprise that a top genius, with the ability to contend with two experts of the saint realm at one time, could kill a man who was in the peak of the Yang Void realm and had never comprehended origin. Amazing! Ling Han said in admiration. Yet, the man he was praising had already left Daluo Heavens sect. In the void above the snow-covered land, Jian Wushuang sped up flying ahead, thinking about the bounty. How surprising! The Holy Emperor Palace would think so highly of father and me. Jian Wushuang thought with a smile. He had read the letter too, and it was really astonishing even to him. A third-grade magic weapon of high rank. One second-grade source secrets of high rank. Both the two were very valuable and rare. As for the magic weapons, they were rarely seen in the whole Nanyang continent. Normally, a third-grade magic weapon of low rank would be enough to make the ordinary experts of the Saint Realm green with envy, let alone the one of high rank, which would drive them crazy. When it came to the second-grade source secrets of high rank, it must be reminded that even the top sects like the Daluo Heavens sect and the Wilderness Sword sect only had second-grade source secrets of low rank or middle rank at best. Only the super sects like the Holy Emperor Palace and the Alchemy School could own second-grade source secrets of high rank. As rich and powerful as the Holy Emperor Palace was, it could only get 8 such kinds of source secrets, which clearly revealed the difficulty to get such things. The experts of the Saint Realm would definitely fight fiercely for it. Putting the two conditions together, the reward would set the whole Nanyang continent alight. My triple kill sword is a magic weapon as well, and it has restored to second grade. I also got 2 kinds of third-grade source secrets in my ancestors' land. But most of the experts of the Saint Realm in Nanyang continent don't have such good luck as I do. I guess large numbers of the experts of the Saint Realm are eyeing father and me after the reward was offered. Jian Wushuang thought. He was right. The Holy Emperor Palace's posting the bounty got the whole Nanyang continent astir. The forces of the various sects, including countless solitary experts, were shocked about the great value of the reward. To be able to choose a third-grade magic weapon of high rank and a second-grade source secrets of high rank was absolutely a sky-high reward. Many senior experts bore both Jian Wushuang and Jian Nantian names and appearance in their mind. Once they found their tracks, the other experts would certainly try to find Jian Wushuang and Jian Nantian and kill them, carrying their bodies to Holy Emperor Palace for the reward. The bounty had made Jian Wushuang and Jian Nantian the enemies of the numerous experts of the Saint Realm in Nanyang continent, making the choices the two faced difficult. Nanyang continent is large, but now the places I can go are fewer because of the bounty. Maybe Tang Dynasty is the only choice for me. Jian Wushuang thought. In Nanyang continent, Tang Dynasty was the place of the most disarray and anarchy. A great number of experts wanted by various sects could be found therein. Therefore, even if Jian Wushuang sometimes showed his strong battle strength in the Tang Dynasty, it wouldn't draw others' attention, as it was a vast land of multitudinous experts. Pass over the northern region and I can get to Tang Dynasty within 10 days at my full speed. Eyes shining, Jian Wushuang started rushing toward the Tang Dynasty with full strength. At the same time, on the peak of a giant mountain in one large empire, a white-haired man, who seemed to be a bit gloomy, was drinking all by himself with his hair fluttering. Beside his feet lay several corpses, and one of them was an expert of divine transcendence, whose breath was still roaring even after dying. Reading through the bounty in his hand, the man, Jian Nantian, smiled contemptuously, and with power gathering in his hand, the bounty instantly turned to ashes. Come for my head, if you dare. When the sound of sword penetrating into flesh was heard twice, Jian Wushuang had already pushed his triple-kill sword back into the sheath. He kept going forward while Qing Ling and Qing Hai were staying still in the void. But soon, the brothers fell down to the ground. The street fell into silence for a moment. Until Jian Wushuang walked away, it suddenly burst into roaring. Qing Ling and Qing Hai were killed. Anyone spotted how he stabbed the brothers? No, I didn't even see him draw his sword. The warriors were all in amazement. An expert with the cultivation of spiritual power in the Yang Void Realm said with a smile, even if it's me facing the attack like that, I could not say I can withstand it. Apparently, we got another big fish in the city. But, Qing Ling and Qing Hai were at high positions in the Hungry Wolf gang. I guess the gang won't let the young man go easily, according to their usual style. After casually killing the two men, Jian Wushuang went ahead, but he could not help thinking, as was said, the Tang Dynasty is indeed a place of no rule and no bottom line. In such a place, the strong will kill the weak for the interspatial ring without hesitation as long as they spot one. Jian Wushuang shook his head. Besides, there are so many experts. In other dynasties, it's hard to see experts in the Yinyang Void Realm, but in the Tang Dynasty, they are everywhere. Thinking of this, Jian Wushuang was also shocked. Along the way he walked just now, he had seen more than 100 of warriors, and among them, there were more than a dozen of the people in the Yinyang Void Realm, even including an expert in the Yang Void Realm. I'm a newcomer in the Tang Dynasty, so I must find a way to orient myself here first. Just as Jian Wushuang was thinking, he suddenly caught the sight of a restaurant in front of him. A restaurant? Jian Wushuang was surprised. He had passed through the street and had found no shop but shabby houses. This was the first restaurant he had seen in the city, which was also the only one there. Blood Moon Hotel? Jian Wushuang thought for a while after seeing the restaurant's signboard and stepped directly into it. The first thing Jian Wushuang saw in the restaurant was a huge tablet, on which it was written, "Whoever damages anything like chairs, stools, wine pots, and bowls herein will be charged for 100 times the value of the damage, excluding the experts in the Blood Moon list." The handwriting on the tablet was elegant and stately. But upon seeing the tablet, Jian Wushuang's complexion turned odd. Chapter 275, The Blood Moon Hotel. Chapter 275, The Blood Moon Hotel. This is the only hotel in this city. A plaque like this hangs on the lintel of the door. The hotel must be unusual. Jian Wushuang thought while walking into the hotel. An attendant immediately came to greet him. "Patron, are you here for accommodation or a meal?" the attendant asked with a smile. "How many purple crystal spiritual liquid does it cost for one night?" Jian Wushuang said casually. 10 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid for one night, the attendant answered smilingly. "Really expensive." Jian Wushuang couldn't help but sigh. Experts of the Yinyang Void Realm used purple crystal spiritual liquid for exchange. Ordinary experts of the initial Yin Void Realm owned about 100 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid. If they stayed here for a night, it would cost 10% of all their possessions. It was expensive indeed. Expensive? The attendant shook his head with a smile. "Even one of our stools is worth a drop of purple crystal spiritual liquid. If someone messes up here and breaks our tables and stools, he would pay 100 times of that, that is to say, he will pay 100 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid for a stool. Tables deserve more. Pay 1,000 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid for a broken table, not to mention wine pots or wine bowls, so it doesn't cost you much for a night. If someone starts a fierce fight in our hotel, he must pay quite more than that." On hearing this, Jian Wushuang was shocked. One needed to pay 100 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid if one broke a stool. Who would dare to fight in this hotel? There's total chaos in the Tang dynasty. Is there anyone that will pay? Jian Wushuang asked casually. "You must have just arrived at the Tang dynasty, so you don't know our Tang dynasty." The attendant smiled. "Yes, our Tang dynasty is famous for slaughter and doesn't have any bottom line. Actually, it depends on a rule, the law of the jungle. Our Blood Moon Hotel is strong, so those that have a fierce fight in our hotel will have to pay for it. Of course, our hotel is also afraid of some top experts. They can refuse to pay, especially those experts on the Blood Moon list." "What is the Blood Moon list?" Jian Wushuang asked with curiosity. The Blood Moon list is a strength ranking list based on the information collected by our Blood Moon Hotel. 1,000 experts from 21 large prefectures in the whole Tang dynasty are ranked on this list. The weakest is at the peak of the Yang Void Realm, while the strongest is an expert of the Saint Realm. They're the real top experts in the Tang dynasty, the attendant answered. 1,000 experts? Jian Wushuang was shocked. "I knew the Blood Moon list was similar to the Earthly Dragon list and Heavenly Dragon list of the Tianzong dynasty, but the Blood Moon list was not based on realm, but strength and cultivation. Moreover, there were 1,000 experts on the list. In comparison, the number of people on the Earthly Dragon list and Heavenly Dragon list was just over 100. Patron, if you're interested in the Blood Moon list, you can spend some purple crystal spiritual liquid on it. It costs 1,000 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid, the attendant said with a smile. Okay, give me a copy of it." Jian Wushuang nodded. He would slaughter in the Tang dynasty, so he needed a good understanding of the 1,000 top experts of the Tang dynasty. For an expert of exceptional Yin Void Realm, 1,000 drops of purple crystal spiritual liquid would be all their possessions, but it meant nothing for Jian Wushuang, since several experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm had died in his hands. The attendant gave Jian Wushuang a thick copy of the list. Jian Wushuang started to read it carefully. It only recorded the 1,000 top experts' brief introduction, such as names, cultivation of spiritual power and impressive battle results, but Jian Wushuang spent 2 hours reading it thoroughly. Jian Wushuang could not help but acclaim. "There are too many experts. The Tang dynasty lives up to its name as the top empire of the Nanyang continent. Among the 1,000 experts, there were 26 experts of the Saint Realm. The experts at the half-saint level accounted for 118 of the total number. Others had reached the peak of the Yang Void Realm, and quite a few experts had comprehended the origin. Experts of the Saint Realm and the half-saint level definitely belong to the top in the whole Nanyang continent, but in the Tang dynasty, there are a large number of such top experts. Jian Wushuang was shocked indeed. There were only a few experts of the Saint Realm and the Half-Saint Realm in the top sects, such as the Wilderness Sword sect and the Daluo Heaven sect. Yet the Tang dynasty had 26 experts of the Saint Realm. What did this mean? It was no wonder that Wang Yuan had said the Tang dynasty was much more powerful than the 8 top sects, and even Alchemy School and Holy Emperor Palace held it in awe. In fact, most of the half-saint experts or experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm in Tang dynasty came from the old sects in the Nanyang continent. The Tang dynasty was considered as a place for training. Those who wanted to break through to the Saint Realm came here, so the Tang dynasty had a considerable number of experts. It's awesome. The Blood Moon list is really awesome. Jian Wushuang acclaimed. Since this list is made by the Blood Moon Hotel and holds absolute authority, the Blood Moon Hotel must be the top force in the Tang dynasty. The Earthly Dragon list and Heavenly Dragon list was set by Golden Dragon Palace, the first overlord in the Tianzong dynasty. After all, people were only convinced of the lists made by the real powerful forces. The Blood Moon Hotel could compile it, which proved its strength. That was why the Blood Moon Hotel dared to hang such a plaque. Besides the experts of the Saint Realm and the Half-Saint experts, most of the 1,000 experts are at the peak of the Yang Void Realm and might be stronger than Mo Lingtian and Chen Feng that I had a fight with. I wonder what ranking I will have on the Blood Moon list. Jian Wushuang thought with expectation. At this moment, the footsteps came over. Then a purple-clothed woman surrounded by a group of figures stepped inside. After walking into the hotel, the purple-clothed woman looked around and immediately fixed her eyes on Jian Wushuang. Pang! 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 Those attackers fell one by one and were instantly killed. Chua! 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 The 3 blasts of sound pierced the air, as if they converged into one. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes and suddenly stepped back. 3 strokes just passed by him, crashed into the ground, and immediately exploded. Jian Wushuang found that these were 3 hidden arrows. With black liquid on the arrow tips, these arrows were highly toxic. Hee, how clever. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly and disappeared instantly. The next moment, boom! Like a bomb, a figure violently hit the ground in the center of the street. It was a short and thin man, who looked gloomy. The man held a bow. Obviously, the 3 toxic arrows were shot by him. Are these all you can do? Anything else? It was Jian Wushuang's voice. Boom! Behind his back, the void suddenly split and a giant axe of raging fire slashed toward Jian Wushuang. An expert at the peak of the Yang Void Realm still needs to attack sneakily. Jian Wushuang had a faint smile and turned around to block it. Pang! A loud boom made the strong man who held the giant axe retreat, while Jian Wushuang was still standing there. What? The strong man was shocked when he saw Jian Wushuang easily block his stroke. He's the 6th leader of the Hungry Wolf Gang. Dong Yu and other experts of the Bloodseeker Gang were startled. The peak of the Yang Void Realm, you must be a chief of the Hungry Wolf Gang. Jian Wushuang looked toward the strong men with cold eyes. Your Hungry Wolf Gang is really great. But sorry, you pissed off the wrong man. As soon as he finished his words, Jian Wushuang had already disappeared. Where? The strong man kept vigilant for a sudden attack. The moment a cold streak of sword shadow suddenly appeared in front of him, the strong man immediately waved his giant axe to block it with his full strength. However, the streak of sword shadow changed into 3 strokes. When he managed to block only one of them, the other 2 strokes pierced his chest and belly. You dare to kill me? The strong man widened his eyes and stared at Jian Wushuang. My brother will take revenge for me. Your brother? I'll give him a chance. Jian Wushuang wore a cold smile, which was as cruel as a blade. Chapter 277, The Killing Begins. Chapter 277, The Killing Begins. Jian Wushuang slowly walked down the street, leaving piles of corpses behind him. The warriors who had been watching the fighting along street were horrified, including members of the Bloodseeker gang. They thought that as soon as Jian Wushuang left Blood Moon Hotel, he would die. But now, the sixth leader of the Hungry Wolf gang, an expert in the peak of the Yang Void Realm, was killed. The Hungry Wolf gang. Jian Wushuang slowly moved on while repeating the name in his heart. There are 6 experts in the peak of the Yang Void Realm in this gang, but none of them is on the Blood Moon list. They are not a threat to me. Now that they provoked me, I don't mind wiping them out here and now. Since I just arrived in the Tang dynasty, I'll take the Hungry Wolf gang as my first target. The knight witnessed a horrible scene in a large courtyard in the center of Devil Heart City, which was also the Hungry Wolf gang's lair. Several corpses lay on the ground in the courtyard, and among them was the tall man who had been killed by Jian Wushuang. The young man is in his early 20s and only in the initial Yang Void Realm, but he has killed so many experts of our gang and even killed sixth brother, a stout man with tan skin and brown hair said, staring down at the corpses. His eyes were grim and cold. He is so young yet so powerful. He must be a talented disciple of those old sects, a real genius. Nevertheless, no matter what background he has, it won't help him in the Tang dynasty. How dare he kill sixth bro? Find him right now. Get him and kill him even if you turn the city upside down, shouted the brown-haired man. Yes, sir, the members of the gang responded immediately. Suddenly. No need to find me. An emotionless voice echoed in the yard, and with the sound appeared a figure in black. I'm the one you're looking for. Jian Wushuang gazed at the experts of the Hungry Wolf gang with his cold voice echoing across the whole yard. From today on, there will be no Hungry Wolf gang. How arrogant. Kill him. The brown-haired man roared. The other experts of the Hungry Wolf gang immediately leaped toward Jian Wushuang like real wolves. Jian Wushuang squinted at those experts, the triple-kill sword trembling feverishly in his hand. The killing begins. While Jian Wushuang was fighting with the experts of the Hungry Wolf gang, 2 figures passed by the top of the void above them. They looked very strong and happened to be passing by Devil Heart City. Just as soon as they arrived, they were immediately attracted by the fighting. They looked down, observing the fighting below. But in their eyes, it was more like a slaughter than a fight. They saw a young man in black, who was bursting with an overwhelming killing intent under the siege of many warriors. With the flashes of the sword sweeping out, the man killed one Hungry Wolf gang expert every time the sword flashed. The 2 figures slowed down involuntarily. One of them was a demonic youth in a purple robe. When he gazed at the slaughtering below, a bloodthirsty smile appeared on his face. But the other one looked indifferent. How interesting. This young man is just in the initial Yang Void Realm, but he killed so many experts under siege. Not only that, there are 5 experts in the peak of Yang Void Realm among his opponents, the purple-robed youth said with excitement. Even if it's us that were being attacked by so many experts, we couldn't be as calm as him. He is very powerful, said the emotionless man in a low voice. You're right. The youth nodded with a strong fighting desire in his eyes. I'd love to fight with him. The people in the Tang dynasty were so crazy about killing, and many of them were lunatics keen for battle. This purple-robed youth was one of them. The slaughter in the courtyard was drawing to an end. Jian Wushuang's killing intent filled the air. His black clothes turned red with blood, and around him lay dense corpses. The Hungry Wolf gang possessed many experts, but it was exterminated by Jian Wushuang in a short while. Even the chiefs of the gang and the several experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm were also killed by him. Jian Wushuang showed no mercy to these people. He once experienced the test of the illusory realm of slaughter in his ancestors' land. That slaughter was much more frenzied than this one, but he still persevered in his way of killing. As for these people, none of them was innocent as many lives had been lost at their hands during their adventure and killing. Thus, Jian Wushuang felt no guilt about killing them. You two have been watching for so long. It's time to come out. Jian Wushuang suddenly raised his head up and said. The two men above the void dived down and showed up in front of Jian Wushuang. They had both reached the peak of the Yang Void realm, and the killing intent of the purple-robed demonic youth was particularly strong. It's very powerful of you to destroy a gang all by yourself, especially one under the charge of several experts at the peak of the Yang Void realm, said the purple-robed youth with a smile. Just a so-so. What do you want from me? Jian Wushuang asked impassively. Haha, it's hard to come across an expert like you who's strong enough to be listed in the Blood Moon list. I can't let you go before we have a fight, said the purple-robed youth with a grin. Oh? Squinting his eyes, Jian Wushuang was not surprised. There were so many crazy people in the Tang dynasty that it was normal for a warlike man to challenge an expert he met. After finishing his speech, the purple-robed youth rushed toward Jian Wushuang like a purple thunderbolt. Just in a moment, the thunderbolt crossed over 30 meters and came up close to Jian Wushuang, cracking the void in front of him and revealing a stone cudgel surrounded with thunderbolt power. Boom! Boom! The power kept surging and rushing. So fast! Jian Wushuang was shocked, but he retreated quickly the moment the stone cudgel chopped toward him. The cudgel eventually smashed the void. Seeing this, the purple-robed youth smiled grimly, and in an instant, a giant thunder dragon came out of the cudgel and dashed toward Jian Wushuang roaring. Oh! Jian Wushuang's heart pounded. He was quite amazed at the purple-robed youth's strength. Though he hasn't comprehended the origin, he is very excellent in comprehending the thunderbolt essence. What's more, his cultivation method and skills not only are quite superb, but also performed with thunderbolt power. Thus, he is absolutely as strong as the experts who had comprehended the origin and were in the peak of the Yang Void realm. Jian Wushuang looked grim. He drew back hastily, but the dragon kept chasing him. Chapter 278, An Invitation. Chapter 278, An Invitation. With a leap, Jian Wushuang landed on the roof, and the thunder dragon quickly followed him. Crack! The dragon swept over the roof, and under its powerful attack, the roof was smashed into pieces. After rapidly flying around the rooftop, Jian Wushuang returned to the purple-robed youth. With a terrifying killing intent, Jian Wushuang slashed at the youth with his sword, his great power behind it. The purple-robed youth remained calm and brandished the stone cudgel once more. With a rumbling boom, the thunderbolt's power exploded fiercely, and yet, the cudgel was knocked away by Jian Wushuang's sword. As soon as Jian Wushuang beat back the youth, he found that the emotionless man was upon him before he could attack the youth further. All at once, a shaft of black light appeared which quickly transformed into a thread, both chilling and terrifying. Seeing the black light, Jian Wushuang could not help but frown. He instantly stamped the ground with his feet. Where he stamped, the ground would crackle. He suddenly retreated back, and at the same time, raised the triple-kill sword. With this move, a towering giant appeared behind him out of thin air, wielding a sword of its own, which proceeded to attack the two. The strike was so powerful that the youth and the emotionless man were both shocked and were forced to defend themselves at the same time. Bang! The powerful roar echoed between heaven and earth. The whole of Devil Heart City trembled at that very moment. Whoosh! 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 3 flowing lights fell back all at once and stood firm in the void. Their positions set in 3 different directions. Sword in one hand, Jian Wushuang stared the other 2 down impassively. His eyes, however, glittered with excitement. The purple-robed youth was burning with the pure desire for battle. But after a moment, he was able to control that desire, suppressing it. That's enough. Stop the fighting, the emotionless man said, and then looked at Jian Wushuang. Gentlemen, we meant no harm. My brother was simply born too warlike for his own good, unable to suppress his desire for battle. But it certainly doesn't go as far as to the death. The purple-robed youth gave Jian Wushuang a grin. Jian Wushuang narrowed his eyes, then nodded himself. He had noticed that as well. These 2 men fought against him with plenty of restraint. It had become obvious through their blows that neither had intended to fight seriously. Since that's the case, both of you are free to leave, Jian Wushuang said in a cold voice. However, the two didn't move. You are a truly mighty expert. In a one-on-one fight, my brother and I alone are no match for you, said the emotionless man. With such strength, your name must be mentioned quite often in the Tang dynasty. Yet I'm confused about which one on the Blood Moon list should be you. Blood Moon list? Jian Wushuang shook his head. I arrived in the Tang dynasty today, so I am not on the list. Oh? Their eyes lit up. Then, your name? Asked the emotionless man. Swordsman, replied Jian Wushuang. Swordsman? The emotionless man nodded and said, I am Bei Mu, and my brother is called Ling Yang. Both of us come from the Heartless sect. Bei Mu and Ling Yang. Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows. He had seen those names on the Blood Moon list before. Ling Yang had been ranked 864th on the list. Bei Mu had been ranked 713th on the list. The two had both been outstanding experts with rather high rankings on the list. No wonder they are so strong. They turned out to be the experts on the Blood Moon list. Jian Wushuang thought with approving admiration. There were so many experts within this dynasty that an ordinary expert in the peak of the Yang Void realm was not worth mentioning. After all, he had killed 6 of them just in one day. But it was another story for the experts in the same realm on the Blood Moon list. They were much stronger than the former. Just like the warriors of the Gold Core realm on the Earthly Dragon list of the Tianzong dynasty, the warriors on the Blood Moon list could best all the others who had achieved the same tier. The same was true of the experts at the peak of the Yang Void realm on the Blood Moon list. Swordsman, you seem to be a bit stronger than even us. Chapter 279, The Heartless Sect. Chapter 279, The Heartless Sect. The Heartless Sect headquartered in the Heartless City within the Skywave Prefecture. Brother Swordsman, we will arrive in the Heartless City quite soon. When we meet with our master, I shall recommend you to him as a protector of our sect. Your strength is more than enough to qualify you to be a protector, said Ling Yang on the way to the Heartless City. Jian Wushuang softly smiled at him. He had heard a bit about the Heartless sect from the two along the way. He quite aware that the most prominent figure in the sect was, of course, the master of Heartless sect, a half-saint expert. Below him came the protectors. There were 8 protectors in total, each of them being the top expert on the Blood Moon list. As a matter of fact, both Bei Mu and Ling Yang were protectors. Here we are, said Bei Mu. Jian Wushuang had also seen the huge city on the horizon. As the headquarters of the Heartless sect, Heartless City was much larger than Devil Heart City. Not even mentioning how heavily guarded it was. Protector Bei Mu, Protector Ling Yang. The warriors of the Heartless sect passing by all respectfully greeted Bei Mu and Ling Yang when the two led Jian Wushuang into the city. Soon, they came into a manners meeting hall. Inside, the master of the Heartless sect, a lean purple-haired old man, was discussing something important with several other protectors when Jian Wushuang followed Bei Mu and Ling Yang into the hall. Your Excellency, we are back, called Ling Yang. His disposition had always been more straightforward. Ling Yang, Bei Mu. Seeing their appearance, the master gave a pleasant smile and stopped the discussion temporarily. Your Excellency, please allow me to introduce you to my new brother, Swordsman. We met along the way, said Ling Yang. Both the master and the protectors looked toward Jian Wushuang with curiosity. So young? That was their first impression of Jian Wushuang. Your Excellency, he may be young, he is already very powerful. Bei Mu and I have decided to recommend him to Your Excellency as the 9th protector of our sect, Ling Yang said. Yeah, we did. Bei Mu gave a slight nod. Oh? Both the master of the Heartless sect and the protectors were amazed at the recommendation. Only the experts on the Blood Moon list or those comparable to them could hold the post of protector. They never heard the name Swordsman before, so the name obviously had never been on the Blood Moon list. Young man, you appear to barely be in your early 20s. Could it be that you have reached the peak of the Yang Void realm at such a ripe age? The master turned to Jian Wushuang and asked. The peak of the Yang Void Realm? No, Your Excellency. Shaking his head, Jian Wushuang continued, I'm only now in the initial Yang Void Realm. Well. The master raised his eyebrows. The protectors beside the master began to sneer at Jian Wushuang directly. One grim-looking mustached protector in snow-white marten coat said, Is this some kind of joke, Ling Yang, Beimu? Recommending a young man, who has only reached the initial Yang Void Realm, as the protector of our sect. Will be mocked by every faction in the Skywave Prefecture if your recommendation ever leakages from here. Brother Swordsman's realm is indeed not high, but he still has a mighty power. Bei Mu and I couldn't defeat him in a short bout, not when we cooperated. With such strength, wouldn't he be able to be listed on the Blood Moon list? Ling Yang shot a glance at the grim-looking man. From his expression, others could easily sense his disgust and dissatisfaction. Humph. You tell me, did you use all of your might to fight against him when you cooperated with Bei Mu? The grim-looking man asked harshly. Did you display your Thousand Thunder Realm? Did Bei Mu display his triple black light? No, Ling Yang replied, shaking his head. It was true that they left some leeway when they fought with Jian Wushuang, and so did Jian Wushuang. Bei Mu and he did not use their special skills, but he believed that Jian Wushuang also held back his real strength. Well, that's the point. How can you conclude that this young man is on a par with you as you didn't even perform your best skills when fighting with him? Asked the grim-looking man with a vicious sneer. Chapter 280, Bloody Blade Team. Chapter 280, Bloody Blade Team. After Wu Jiu left, the tall man said brightly, Swordsman, I'm Tai Shan. From now on, we are allies, fighting by one another's side. I'm Gu Chui. I'm Mo Ing. I'm Tao. The other members of Bloody Blade Team began to introduce themselves. Let's go. Tai Shan spoke. Then they returned to the courtyard, and sat around the stone table. The 9th squad was comprised of 10 people and all of them were here. Swordsman, you've just joined Heartless Sect. You probably know little about our sect or our Bloody Blade Team, right? Tai Shan asked. Right. Jian Wushuang shook his head and replied. Let me tell you something about the internal situation of the Tang dynasty. It's full of slaughter. For their own sake, a great number of powerful factions continue to fight one another for their own interests. It is certainly far crazier than the outside world. Fighting for benefits existed everywhere, but it certainly was crazier in the Tang dynasty than most other places. There were many varied forces in the Tang dynasty. Weaker groups would hand over a certain amount of purple crystal spiritual liquid to the stronger factions. It was called monthly supply, and as one might expect, the stronger forces received more monthly supply. Moreover, there was an abundance of natural resources in the Tang dynasty, such as load and numerous natural treasures. These, of course, were possessed by the large forces and factions. In order to gain benefits, every organization had little alternative to fighting for control. Tai Shan added, Our Heartless Sect is one of the 4 factions in Skywave Prefecture. It's also one of the most powerful forces in the Tang dynasty. Our master is a mighty expert who has reached the half-saint level and ranks 118th on the Blood Moon list. Furthermore, there are the 8 protectors who are also top experts on the Blood Moon list. We also have experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm. Do we have many experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm? Jian Wushuang asked. Yes, of course. Tai Shan nodded heavily. Many experts are glad to join our sect, one of the 4 factions in Skywave Prefecture, so we have many experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm. Although I'm not quite clear about the number of them, I think we have at least 200 experts at such level. What? Jian Wushuang suppressed his shock. There were more than 200 experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm? Even the old sects, the Wilderness Sword sect and the Daluo Heaven sect, would never have so many experts at the level. However, a large force in the Tang dynasty could own 200 experts. What could that mean? However, after some careful consideration, Jian Wushuang felt at ease. The Tang dynasty was known as the Slaughterous dynasty and was also one of the best places to practice for many people, so it was not strange for a large number of top experts to come to the Tang dynasty. It could even be said that in the entire Nanyang continent, at least 30% of experts at the half-saint level or at the peak of the Yang Void realm gathered in the Tang dynasty, so the Tang dynasty had many experts at such levels. Though the experts could roam around the Tang dynasty, they did not belong to the Tang dynasty, so the amount of force the Tang dynasty could control was only a fragment of a much greater whole. But even with just a small part of the force, it was still far more than enough to make places like the Alchemy School and the Holy Emperor Palace experience a great sense of awe. 200 experts at the peak of the Yang Void realm. I just made a conservative estimate. Tai Shan smiled. Our Bloody Blade team is the most elite force for the Heartless sect and comprised of 100 people. The minimum requirement of joining our team is battle strength at the peak of the Yang Void realm. A hint of shock flashed past Jian Wushuang's eyes. Everyone in the Bloody Blade team had reached peak of the Yang Void realm. The team consisted of 100 experts. If this were in the Nanyang continent, 3 valleys and 4 temples might not be able to build such a team. However, a single sect within the Tang dynasty could easily make such a force. The Bloody Blade team has 10 squads. Each squad has 10 experts. Now you're in the 9th squad and I'm the leader. They're your teammates, Tai Shan said with a smile. Jian Wushuang nodded slightly and asked, Protector Wu Jiu just said he set some rules. What rules? Rules? Tai Shan sneered. Well, Wu Jiu controls our Bloody Blade team, so all of us must follow his orders. The rules he set up are quite simple, that is, don't question what he said and don't hesitate to obey his orders. Otherwise, your life would, and will, become miserable. Oh? Jian Wushuang looked toward him. I've been in the Bloody Blade team for more than 1 year. I've seen a leader was killed by Wu Jiu because he hesitated for a while after receiving an order, Tai Shan added. I heard that Wu Jiu has ordered Bloody Blade team to kill enemies. A powerful protector was opposed to Wu Jiu, but ended up slain. After that, many people speculated it was Wu Jiu who led 2 squads and killed the protector in secret. But they haven't gotten any evidence, so this case has remained unsettled. Jian Wushuang was somewhat shocked. Wu Jiu really is quite overbearing. Those are the rules he set. Truth is, he has such power because he's strong. If you're stronger than him, you can do whatever you want, and even disobeying his orders is entirely possible, Tai Shan said. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. That was the truth. There were no rules for powerful experts in other places, let alone for somewhere such as the Tang dynasty. Well, Swordsman, you're so young, but you are still able to join our team. You must be strong, right? Tai Shan suddenly asked. The other 8 teammates looked toward him with great interest. Jian Wushuang could not help but laugh. He had already understood what they meant. After a while, Jian Wushuang started sparring with his teammates. Chapter 281, Bloody Blade Team, set off. Chapter 281, Bloody Blade Team, set off. After 3 days, Jian Wushuang sat on the ground, with his legs crossed, in the center of the yard where the 9th squad lived. He was surrounded by heavy fog, which was transformed by sword essence. A realm of sword essence covered an area of around a dozen meters. A large amount of gray fog began to gather together. It became denser and denser, almost condensing into the water. In the end, the gray fog gradually dissipated. I'm still a step away from it. Jian Wushuang shook his head. As for 3 movement of the sword realm, the first move, sword fog, was easily comprehended. He had mastered it after practicing for 3 days. However, it was quite difficult for him to master sword tide and sword sea, the second move and the third move respectively. Few people had mastered the second move in the Daluo Heaven sect. Although Jian Wushuang had a peerless gift in his sword principle, he could not master the second move in such a short time. After all, he had just gained this sword skill. Jian Wushuang stood up and walked toward the stone table. 2 members of his squad were drinking by the table. Watching Jian Wushuang come over, one of them smiled and called out. "Swordsman, you've practiced for half a day and haven't taken a break. Are you practicing too hard? What do you know?" If he had not practiced so hard, how would he have ever gained such strength at his age? The other member replied. They both treated Jian Wushuang with great enthusiasm and warm respect. 3 days ago, when he just arrived here, Jian Wushuang fought with his teammates in a series of light bouts. They had not taken the fight seriously at first when they discovered Jian Wushuang had just reached the initial Yang Void realm. However, when the fight began, they were shocked by the sheer battle potential Jian Wushuang could bring. Except for Tai Shan, who barely managed to force a draw with Jian Wushuang, the other 8 teammates were defeated one after another. They hadn't known, however, that Jian Wushuang did not use his full strength even then. "Come on, have a drink." Then Jian Wushuang sat by the table and started to drink with them. After a while, a tall and strong figure appeared by their side. It was Tai Shan. "Come on out." Tai Shan spoke loudly enough to be heard throughout the entire courtyard. The team members began walking out of their rooms and came to the stone table. "Boss, what happened?" Moing asked. Jian Wushuang looked toward Tai Shan. "I've just received news that another protector was killed last night," Tai Shan replied seriously. "What?" Such news shocked everyone, though they didn't allow it to show. It was unexpected that a protector of the Heartless sect, who was a top expert on the Blood Moon list, was killed. "Which protector died?" Jian Wushuang asked. "Protector Su Lang," Tai Shan answered. Su Lang ranked well over the 900th position, and was considered the weakest of the 8 protectors. Protector Su Lang could have carried out his task. No one knows how the Demon's Island found his location. He was killed by the 3 devils of Demon's Island, Tai Shan added. Jian Wushuang was a little bit surprised. Both the Heartless sect and Demon's Island belonged to the 4 factions of Skywave Prefecture. Bei Mu and Ling Yang had said that Heartless sect had many fierce fights with Demon's Island. Demon's Island was not weaker than Heartless sect. Their island master was also an expert at the half-saint level, and the 7 devils were experts on the Blood Moon list. It was little wonder how Su Lang had not been able to escape when pressed by 3 devils at once. Protector Su Lang was killed. After receiving the news, our master and the other protector were furious, and must be planning to take revenge on Demon's Island. They'll probably need us, so we should prepare for it. Tai Shan explained. On hearing this, the experts of the team were not nervous, but instead, rather excited. "Finally, it's our turn. The last time we got out was a half a month ago already. Let the battle be vicious and bloody." The experts talked and laughed. Jian Wushuang wore a slight smile, with a flicker of expectation in his eyes. Sure enough, the call came just half a day later. "Bloody Blade Team, assemble." A loud voice rang out above Heartless City, causing a turmoil throughout the city. The experts of Bloody Blade Team, who had been prepared, leaped up that very same moment. The 10 squads had assembled in the blink of an eye. The middle-aged Wu Jiao stood in front of the experts, with 2 other protectors by his side. One of the protectors was Bei Mu. Wu Jiao glanced at experts with cold eyes. Then he waved his hand. "Move out." Wu Jiao and the 2 protectors led the Bloody Blade Team out of Heartless City. There are 3 protectors and 100 experts at the peak of the Yang Void realm. Just what are we going to do? Are we launching a frontal attack against Demon's Island? Jian Wushuang mumbled. "I doubt it's just a frontal assault." Tai Shan shook his head. "Our Bloody Blade Team is the trump card of Heartless sect. If we weren't aiming for a decisive battle, we would have never set out." Whatever he does, I will follow the 3 protectors' orders," Moing beside Jian Wushuang said. Although they still were unclear as to what their mission was, they were still excited. After half a day, they arrived before a city. "That is Golden Wing City?" Tai Shan frowned and asked, Isn't Golden Wing City the territory of the Wing Gang? What are we doing here? Wing Gang. The other squads also felt surprised. Wing Gang was also a powerful force in Skywave Prefecture. It had 2 masters who had managed to enter their names upon the Blood Moon list. One of their masters, Shen Tianyu, ranked higher than the other. Except for the 2 masters, their force's strength was rather ordinary. The Wing Gang was much weaker than Heartless Sect or Demon's Island. Listen. Wu Jiao suspended in front of the experts and said in a cold voice, "Yesterday, Protector Su Lang was killed by experts from Demon's Island. According to our reliable information, it's the Wing Gang which told the Protector's location to Demon's Island, so our duty today is to wipe out the Wing Gang and butcher their 2 masters." Chapter 282, Blocking Him. Chapter 282, Blocking Him. Understood. The experts of Bloody Blade team were finally clear about their task. The Wing Gang was their target. It was no wonder that they came to Golden Wing City. "Listen," Wu Jiao said in a low voice, "the 1st and 6th squads follow me into the lair of Wing Gang, the other 4 squads go and hold the 4 gates of the city. The 7th squad go to the east gate. The 8th squad go the west gate. The 9th squad go to the south gate. The 10th squad go to the north gate. Anyone that dares to escape, slaughter without forgiveness. Go!" After Wu Jiao gave the order, he and the other 2 protectors immediately led the 6 squads into Golden Wing City. The remaining squads stood there and looked at each other with resignation. After a while, the deafening roars came out from every corner of the city, indicating that the war had broken out. Near the south gate of Golden Wing City, the 9th squad quietly suspended themselves above the void and watched the fierce fight inside the city with gruesome looks. "Bastards, they can slaughter in the city while we hold here." Mo curled his lips. "Well, that's the Wu Jiao's order, we can't disobey it." Tai Shan spoke with a wry look. They thought they could have a fierce fight and enjoy slaying their foes, but never expected things to turn out like this. The other 6 squads ran amok, slaughtering crazily in the city, while they had to wait outside. Just wait and see. This war has only just begun. Wing Gang is barely hanging on, but they won't fight for long. The experts of Wing Gang will break and flee in a crazy panic soon enough. Then we'll carry out our duties, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Though it'll be like that, we still won't be able to enjoy the slaughter within the city, Moing murmured. Say no more and wait patiently. Even if we can't join this fight, we'll wait for the next time, Tai Shan said, so the other experts no longer complained about it. After an hour, a voice loudly echoed, "Run." The voice rang out across the city. Then numerous experts of Wing Gang started to run away in a shattered retreat. "Go to the north gate. Hurry." As the shout came out, a large number of experts ran toward the north gate, like bees. Looking at this, the experts of the 9th squad knew that their last hope was shattered. The experts of Wing Gang are running toward the north gate, opposite to us. It looks like that we won't have a chance to fight. Moing curled his lips again. The others also felt disappointed. They were eager for a fierce fight, but they didn't get the chance. However, at the moment. Jian Wushuang suddenly raised his head, so did the other experts. They saw a figure leap out above the void and dashed in their direction. We still have an opportunity. There's one left for us. Moing grinned. Obviously, the man was escaping from Golden Wing City. He must belong to the Wing Gang. This man, Tai Shan raised his brow and looked toward the man. The next moment, he was shocked. It is Shen Tianyu, the chief of Wing Gang. What? The other experts were startled and looked toward the man with expressions of shock and worry. As the figure got closer, they could clearly see his appearance. The man, with a head of short hair and bushy whiskers, held a cyan saber with a roaring breath. He looked the same as Shen Tianyu indeed. That's him, without a doubt. Tai Shan's face fell. How sly he is. He asks all the experts to escape from the north gate while he himself is quietly running to the south gate. I'm afraid our protectors haven't uncovered the ruse yet. Boss, what shall we do? A teammate asked. What else can we do? Block him. Tai Shan shouted in a low voice. The ninth squad immediately darted to Shintianyu. Shintianyu was running like a drowned rat, his eyes were cold and vicious, but his appearance was in a shambles. I thought our wing gang did well in this covert operation, and didn't expect that the heartless sect would discover it. Alas! If I had known this outcome, I would have never disclosed Su Lang's position to Demon's Island. If I hadn't, our wing gang would not have been annihilated this day. Shintianyu felt regretful, but now, it was useless. He only hoped that he could survive in this attack. At that moment, he saw 10 figures rushing to him. Shintianyu's face changed. The Heartless sect is really prudent. I didn't expect that they arranged their people outside. But a small squad cannot block me. Shintianyu snorted. Then his tremendous killing intent emitted out. Stop him! Tai Shan shouted, a huge copper hammer appearing in his hand. The hammer looked heavy, weighing around 5,000 kilograms, but it could be easily waved by Tai Shan. Surrounded by circles of fire waves, the hammer directly lashed against Shintianyu with a fiery bombardment. The other teammates launched their attacks, using all their strength. They had not planned to be able to directly kill Shintianyu with their efforts, as they knew that Shintianyu was a top expert on the Blood Moon list and could slaughter a large number of experts at the peak of the Yang Void Realm. Therefore, their squad only expected that they could block Shintianyu and pray for the 3 protectors' arrival. Faced with their attacks, Shintianyu just sneered and waved his cyan saber. Get out of my way! A huge knife shadow, covering half of the sky, dashed out, as if it had split the heaven and earth in two. The scary power shattered their attacks and even sent them flying in an instant. This was all accomplished with but a single stroke. A group of trash wanted to block me? Shintianyu glared with disdain and continued to move forward. Suddenly, a black figure blocked his way. It was Jian Wushuang. The other 9 teammates had struck a blow to block Shintianyu, but only Jian Wushuang had not shown a move. Ah, another fly. Shintianyu did not bother glancing at Jian Wushuang, and instead immediately launched an attack. Jian Wushuang's eyes suddenly became cold. Chapter 284, Fool. Chapter 284, Fool. He defeated me. Shintianyu could not believe it. He had tried his best, but lost the fight. As he was retreating, Jian Wushuang had already launched an attack on him. Covered by the heavy fog, Shintianyu was not able to move freely, so he looked slow and lifeless. I didn't expect that I would be killed by a nobody. Shintianyu stared at Jian Wushuang and said angrily. Nobody? Jian Wushuang said with a sneer, after I kill you, I won't be a nobody. The triple kill sword lashed out and immediately pierced Shintianyu's body, leaving a big hole in his chest. Shintianyu's body fell to the ground. Jian Wushuang stood next to him and looked down. A top expert, who ranked within 500 on the Blood Moon list, is powerful indeed. If he had not been afraid that protectors would come and chosen to perform a frontal attack against me, I would not have killed him so easily. Jian Wushuang thought. He was quite clear that he could kill Shintianyu because Shintianyu was distracted. He had comprehended origin of the world and slaughter source, which would help him in a frontal attack, but Shintianyu was adept at speed, so frontal attacks were his weak point. Whoosh! 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 Tai Shan and the other 8 teammates appeared beside Jian Wushuang. Shintianyu is dead? Tai Shan and Imoing looked at the corpse in surprise. Swordsman, you, said Tai Shan, staring at Jian Wushuang in shock. Now they knew Jian Wushuang just fought them for fun at that time. Shintianyu ranked high on the Blood Moon list. Only one of our protectors ranks higher than him. Moreover, he had fought with a half-saint expert for a long time. Though he failed, he survived. However, now, he was killed by you. This strength, Mo Ying smacked his lips and sigh. Jian Wushuang could not help but laugh. He had a fight with a half-saint expert from the Wilderness Sword sect at the gathering of the sects of the northern region. The half-saint expert was strong indeed. He had tried his best to fight, but the top expert just blocked his attack casually. Lastly, he drew with his opponent. Shen Tianyu, who could have a fierce fight with a half-saint expert, was really powerful. Whoosh! A figure rushed over and quickly appeared in front of them. Jian Wushuang and his 9 teammates immediately locked their eyes on it. Protector Wu Jiu. Tai Shan immediately spoke. Wu Jiu coldly looked at the corpse on the ground. This is Shen Tianyu. Wu Jiu narrowed his eyes and said. Wu Jiu ranked lower than Shen Tianyu on the Blood Moon list. He and Bei Mu could only suppress Shen Tianyu, but they were not able to kill him. But now, Shen Tianyu was dead. You killed Shen Tianyu? Wu Jiu cast a glance at them. The moment Tai Shan opened his mouth and wanted to say that Jian Wushuang killed by himself, Jian Wushuang scrambled to reply. Shen Tianyu was so confident that he did not detect that we ambushed him. We took the chance and worked together to kill him. It took us all of our strength. Oh? Wu Jiu looked around and saw quite a few holes, which indicated a fierce fight, so he nodded. Shen Tianyu could not block the attack from one of our squads. He wasn't as strong as I expected. Wu Jiu sneered, and then waved his hand to take the corpse and the interspatial ring away. You did well. Just go back to Heartless City by yourselves. After finishing his words, Wu Jiu left. Tai Shan and Mo Ying's face darkened. Why? Swordsman killed Shen Tianyu with great effort. Wu Jiu just said a few words to us and then took Shen Tianyu and his interspatial ring away. The others all felt it was unfair. Wu Jiu had nothing to do with Shen Tianyu's death, but he could take all the trophies away. Shen Tianyu was not only the top expert on the Blood Moon list, but also the chief of Wing Gang. How powerful the Protector is. He must be comparable to a half-saint expert. Who is the boy? Doesn't he overestimate himself? I've never seen him before. He should have just joined our team. I know him. He's called Swordsman, who was brought by Bei Mu and Ling Yang. I hear both of them wanted to recommend him as Protector. It seems that he can't be a Protector because his cultivation is too low. Many experts began to talk about it. Chapter 286, A Twist. Chapter 286, A Twist. Swoosh! A chilling flash of a sword flew out and hacked right at the point of the spear, freezing Wu Jiu's attack for a moment. Oh? Wu Jiu was amazed. He blocked my attack so easily. That's right. When Bei Mu and Ling Yang recommended him as a Protector, they said that they couldn't beat him in a short while even in cooperation. Though it was due to their not trying their best, it still proved that this guy is much stronger than an ordinary expert in the peak of the Yang Void Realm. It seems that I have to show a bit more strength to take him down, Wu Jiu thought. He twisted his hands in a quirky way to throw his long spear at Jian Wushuang. Along with this move, a huge vortex suddenly appeared. Whoosh! 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 He launched 3 attacks in succession with his spear, and each of them was as fast as lightning. Jian Wushuang brandished the triple kill sword and withstood the attacks. Bright sun! A sliver of light flashed in Wu Jiu's eyes. He raised the spear high and thrust at Jian Wushuang quickly. Jian Wushuang held his sword up to defend himself. Though he succeeded, the power of the attack pushed him down, and the ground where he stood cracked under the force. Thunderous explosion. With a loud shout, Wu Jiu held back the spear and then thrust again, like a dragon rushing at its target. Brat, go to hell! The dragon was so fast that Jian Wushuang could barely defend himself by putting the sword across in front of his chest. Two forces crushed together, throwing Jian Wushuang away as if he was blown off by an explosion. He fell on the edge of the martial arts practice field and bumped into the walls, cracking it into pieces. Powerful. So strong. The other members of the Bloody Blade team widened their eyes in shock. Humph, arrogant stupid, don't blame me when you see the King of Hell. Wu Jiao snorted. But just as he finished his speech, with a slight crack, from the broken walls emerged a figure who slowly walked to him. He didn't die. Wu Jiao looked at Jian Wushuang in amazement. He is still alive. Not injured at all. He looks fine without even a scratch. The members of the team were all astonished. Protector Wu Jiao, I thought you were as strong as you claimed to be. But it seems like you are not. I'm really disappointed, Jian Wushuang said, shaking his head. Wu Jiao was in a daze for a second, while the other experts of the Bloody Blade team were stunned. Having shown his strongest abilities, Protector Wu Jiao was still nothing more than a disappointment in Jian Wushuang's eyes. No wonder you rank below 600th on the Blood Moon list, Protector Wu Jiao. To tell you the truth, you are not even close to Shintianyu. Jian Wushuang started moving as he was speaking. Just in a moment, he crossed over 30 meters and came up to Wu Jiao. With his arrival came a puff of fog, coming into being the realm of sword essence that wrapped Wu Jiao up. In the fog, suppressed by the sword essence, Wu Jiao could hardly move. Just then, a shaft of dazzling sword light suddenly appeared and dove straight to Wu Jiao from above. Frowning, Wu Jiao quickly thrust at the light with his spear. Clang! With a loud sound, Wu Jiao was forced to stagger backward, stern-faced. But in the very next moment, sword flashes struck at him successively with frightening power and at an unbelievably fast speed, like roaring storms. This guy, Wu Jiao hurriedly waved his spear to block the unceasing attack in horror. Just in a breath, he successively blocked several attacks, but soon he found himself not able to keep up with the speed of the attacks. I can barely withstand the next attack. Wu Jiao's heart tightened. A cold metallic flash of the sword that shone like the light of the sun soundlessly reached Wu Jiao's ear, making him chilled to the bone. But at that moment, he was not able to struggle but could only watch the flash getting closer to his face. As the sword was about to pass over his head, it suddenly changed its course. Clap! The sword slapped in Wu Jiao's face, making a loud sound, and his face began to turn into red and swollen. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, he smashed to the ground. Swoosh! The sword flashed again, and this time it hewed the ground beside Wu Jiao, whizzing past his arm. Crack! The center of the martial arts practice field was cracked into two parts by a long, bottomless rift measuring tens of meters. The crack was in the shape of the sword. Looking at the rift beside the ground where he was lying on, Wu Jiao swallowed hard, his throat getting dry. He knew that if that attack had aimed at him, his body would have been cut into two parts like the ground. Protector Wu Jiao. Jian Wushuang walked slowly up to Wu Jiao, looking down at him. Trembling, Wu Jiao stared back at Jian Wushuang. Wu Jiao wiped the blood off from the corners of his mouth, trying to get up. Seeing Jian Wushuang suddenly get closer to him, Wu Jiao was more frightened and took a step back, saying, "What are you going to do with me?" At this moment, Wu Jiao was in extreme fear. Nothing. Jian Wushuang drew closer to Wu Jiao and said in a low voice, "Protector Wu Jiao, I'm not interested in being a protector or the purple crystal spiritual liquid, not because I am afraid. Don't piss me off, or I'll let you bear the consequences. Though you're the expert on the Blood Moon list and very strong, you're not made of iron and will die if you have your throat cut." Jian Wushuang stared at Wu Jiao sharply up close. Wu Jiao was trembling, and he could feel Jian Wushuang's killing intent. He finally understood that because of Jian Wushuang, a strong expert beyond imagination, the 9th team could kill Shintianyu. "By the way, it's time for you to give back what you borrowed from me, Protector Wu Jiao," Jian Wushuang continued. "What things?" Wu Jiao was stunned. "Shintianyu's body. I heard you took away the body, but I didn't say that you did not need to return it," Jian Wushuang replied with a casual smile. Upon hearing this, the experts of the Bloody Blade team were suddenly clear about the whole thing. A streak of blood-red light came over beside Jian Wushuang like a ghost. It was a black-robed woman, staring at Jian Wushuang coldly. Jian Wushuang slashed at her backhanded. The woman was blasted away by the powerful force and died directly without any struggling. Seeing that two people in the peak of the Yang Void Realm died in Jian Wushuang's hands in such a short while, the surrounding experts were all shocked and terrified. How could he be so powerful? Who is he? Chapter 289, Shuang. Chapter 289, Shuang. As they were among the great four forces in Skywave Prefecture, the Heartless Sect and Demon's Island were well matched in strength. The Master of Heartless Sect and the Lord of Demon's Island were both half-saints. Previously, there were 8 protectors in the Heartless Sect, all of whom were listed on the Blood Moon list. But, now there were only 7 left because one of them had been killed. Likewise, Demon's Island also had 7 devils on the Blood Moon list. So, the seniors of each force were currently equal. However, all the devils were busy fighting with the protectors, so they could not stop Jian Wushuang at that moment, which allowed Jian Wushuang to freely kill without facing any resistance. But his slaughtering attracted their attention. Ah, it's Swordsman. Seeing how Jian Wushuang was slaughtering the enemy, Bei Mu and Ling Yang could not stop laughing. These two had fought with Jian Wushuang before and knew that Jian Wushuang was as strong as the experts on the Blood Moon list. So, they were not surprised at what they saw, but the other protectors, who didn't know, were amazed. Is that him? The man introduced and recommended as a protector by Bei Mu and Ling Yang? Yes, he is so young and his realm isn't high, so we doubted his qualifications to be a protector, but now it seems that we were too biased. He is young as well as strong enough to be on the Blood Moon list. That bloke, Wu Jiu, who was battling one of the devils of Demon's Island, glanced at Jian Wushuang maliciously, his heart filled with hatred. "Ha, Baldy, it seems that you will be the one who is defeated." The laughter from the Master of Heartless Sect resounded throughout the area after he noticed Jian Wushuang's excellent performance. Never thought you would have a hidden expert as strong as an expert from the Blood Moon list. The Master of the Demon's Island, a bald man with a strong aura, said as he snorted. Obviously. Though the Master of the Heartless Sect was smiling, he was a bit surprised in fact. No wonder Bei Mu and Ling Yang, 2 men of vision, would recommend him. He is indeed very strong, and with him, we are going to win the battle. Certainly, they were currently winning the battle. Without Jian Wushuang, it would have been hard to tell who would be the winner since the 2 forces were neck and neck. But Jian Wushuang broke the balance and tipped it in the Heartless Sect's favor. Like what was happening now. Jian Wushuang had killed many Yang Void Realm experts from Demon's Island, freeing up the experts of the Heartless Sect to help out other teammates. In this way, their advantage was constantly increasing. It looks like we're winning. The bastards of Demon's Island must die. Send them to hell. The experts of the Heartless Sect roared, overly excited. Baldy, your island is going to lose. The cold voice of the Master of Heartless Sect reverberated from above, where a pitched battle was going on between the seniors of the 2 forces. Lose? Will I? The bald man asked while smiling weirdly. Seeing that smile, the expression of the Master of Heartless Sect immediately changed and uneasiness arose in his heart. This battle was instigated by Demon's Island. Their strength was similar to the Heartless Sect, so they wouldn't start a war without a special reason. Everyone knew that, once the battle started, it would cause destruction to both sides. But, Demon's Island still started one. There was definitely something fishy about this. As the Master of Heartless Sect was lost in his confusion, a flowing red streak of light plunged into the battle at an amazing speed, quickly reaching the side of a protector. The red figure began attacking the protector. Holy God! Shocked, the protector waved his scythe in an attempt to defend. The scythe collided with the flowing red light and was knocked away. His triple-kill sword took on the appearance of a thunderbolt and lightning as it lashed out. How fast! Shuang thought in shock, turning around to block it. Jian Wushuang's powerful swordsmanship erupted. Streaks of sword light spread out at an amazing speed, shaking the surrounding area. World Origin also erupted, instantly causing Shuang to fall into the sea of sword shadows. Shuang widened his eyes and struck out with his sharp claws. He barely blocked those attacks, but could not find a chance to fight back. More importantly, he was besieged by the flowing tide of sword essence, which restricted his strength and speed, so he could not catch up with Jian Wushuang. I'm not his match. Shui Ying's face fell. Though he was reluctant to admit it, that was the truth. This guy is terrifying. If I continue to fight with him, I will die. After a while, Shuang lost his will to fight. Lord of Demons Island, you never mentioned that the Heartless sect had such a powerful expert. Shuang yelled with a snarl, while crazily blocking the blows. The forlorn roar was so loud that all the experts in the battlefield could hear it clearly. In the next moment, they all felt surprised. Lord of Demons Island, I promised to help you sweep out the Heartless sect, but I have to protect myself first. Now that my life is threatened, I can't keep my promise. See you. Shuang roared in a low voice. Then he turned to run away. Shuang, who was a half-saint expert, ranked 131st on the Blood Moon list, was escaping. Chapter 291, Slaughter. Chapter 291, Slaughter. All the experts were astonished. They were shocked indeed. They did not expect that a half-saint expert would run away. Shuang, the Lord of Demons Island, was also stunned while recalling Shui Ying's words. His life was threatened. A kid in the initialing Void Realm could threaten his life? No matter how shocked they were, Shuang was definitely running away. However, Jian Wushuang had not agreed to let him escape. Since you came, stay here forever. Jian Wushuang's cold voice, full of laughter, resounded through the area. Then he immediately chased after Shuang. As Shui Ying's speed was affected by the realm of sword essence, Jian Wushuang easily caught up with him. Kiddo, I'm leaving. I've decided I don't want to be involved in your fight. Don't push me. Shuang glanced at Jian Wushuang and cried out. Don't push you. You attacked and killed our protectors. Didn't you already go too far? Jian Wushuang said in a cold voice, but sneered in his heart, it's not easy to meet an opponent like you. I won't let you go so easily. Go to hell. Jian Wushuang rushed toward Shuang. You really want to kill me? Shuang roared with a scary look. I'll have a try and see whether I'm able to kill you. Jian Wushuang grinned. Then his soaring killing intent spread out. The sky seemed to darken. Faced with such tremendous killing intent, other experts could not help but feel frightened. The moment Jian Wushuang raised the triple-kill sword high, a towering phantom giant appeared behind him and held up a long sword as well. Suddenly, the stroke slashed down. Blood-emptying technique, the first move. Boom! The murderous stroke appeared in front of Shuang. Faced with its power, Shuang could not help being frightened. This is Slaughter Origin. Shuang was shocked. Jian Wushuang had used World Origin while fighting with him. Though it made him perfect in all aspects, it limited his strength so that his attacks were not as offensive. That was the reason why Shuang dared to say that Jian Wushuang could not kill him. However, Slaughter Origin was totally different from World Origin. Slaughter Origin emphasized killing, which was more offensive power than World Origin. The power of this stroke Jian Wushuang performed caused the area to shake. I'm in big trouble. Shuang widened his eyes and made up his mind to fight to the death. Blood spirit. With a terrifying look, Shuang was suddenly surrounded by a blood light. The streaks of light gathered in his palm, and his fingertips, as well as his eyes, immediately became extremely red. Suddenly, Shuang rushed forward, like a wild wolf pouncing on its prey in the dark. Then he waved his claw. The stroke pierced the air, humming violently. After colliding with the killing sword. Boom! The strongest move Shuang was able to perform was completely overwhelmed. How is this possible? It surprised Shuang when his strongest move was defeated so easily. The sword in your hand, Shuang stared at the triple kill sword. Now he knew, that long sword was extraordinary. Don't struggle. Accept your death obediently. My sword can't wait to drink your blood, Jian Wushuang said with a sneer. Then he appeared in front of Shuang. Against the realm of sword essence, Shuang could not escape, but he still tried his best to struggle. After a while, a wave of sword strikes stabbing a body was heard. Then Shui Ying's aura began to vanish. Shuang let out a snarl, resounding throughout the whole area. Lord of Demons Island, you set me up. The rumble made the whole battlefield quiet. Everyone was in shock as they watched Shui Ying's body falling down. Everyone looked awed at that moment. A real half-saint expert died like this? A young expert in the initial Yang Void realm actually killed him. Chapter 292, The First Protector. Chapter 292, The First Protector. Lord of Demons Island was not much stronger than Shuang, so he was only able to struggle for a short period of time before he was killed by Jian Wushuang and the Master of Heartless Sect. The Baldy had been fighting against me for many years. But he is finally dead, the Master of Heartless Sect said and sighed, while standing in front of the Lord of Demons Island. Then he looked toward Jian Wushuang and said, with a smile, Swordsman, your realm of sword essence is really special. Without your realm of sword essence that restricted his speed, we would not have been able to kill him so easily. It's just a little trick, Jian Wushuang replied with a casual smile. Sword realm was a special and powerful sword skill. As a superior third-grade sword technique, it was not weaker than an inferior second-grade sword technique. You have lots of tricks, Master of Heartless Sect continued with a smile. Today, you killed a half-saint expert by yourself. Compared to your strength, I feel ashamed of myself. I believe the Blood Moon list will have your name soon. You will definitely rank high, at least higher than me. The Master of Heartless Sect was very clear that Jian Wushuang was stronger than him. After all, he could only try his best to defeat a half-saint expert, but he could not kill such an opponent. However, Jian Wushuang could kill a half-saint expert in a straightforward fight. After Shuang and the Lord of Demons Island died, the final fight eventually ended. The Heartless Sect seized victory, and Demons Island collapsed because of the death of their lord. This fight caused a sensation in the whole Skywave Prefecture. Numerous experts were shocked by the deaths of the two half-saint experts. A name spread through the whole prefecture. Swordsman. A man who had reached the initial Yang Void realm had killed Shuang by himself. Then he killed the Lord of Demons Island with the Master of Heartless Sect. Everyone marveled at his strength. The next day, the Blood Moon list was updated, with a great change. Swordsman ranks 99th. He has reached the initial Yang Void realm. It's confirmed that his attacks were straightforward and he killed Shuang, a half-saint expert whose strength remained at the peak. There were many half-saint experts on the list, but few could kill a half-saint expert with a frontal attack, so our Blood Moon Hotel affirmed that Swordsman was qualified to rank 99th. With the affirmation from the Blood Moon Hotel and his battle results, Jian Wushuang's ranking was instantly accepted by the public. He ranks 99th, much higher than me. The Master of Heartless Sect laughed out while reading the rankings. He was sitting with several protectors in the lobby of the Heartless Sect. He admitted that Jian Wushuang was stronger than him, so he thought it was normal that Jian Wushuang ranked higher than him. Swordsman, you're famous now, the Master of Heartless Sect said with a smile. Ranked 99th. Jian Wushuang wiped his nose and gave a faint smile. The other protectors congratulated Jian Wushuang. Only 5 protectors, including Bei Mu and Ling Yang, survived this fight. Listen, the Master of Heartless Sect suddenly said seriously, from now on, Swordsman will be our first protector. His position is equal to mine. All of you must follow his orders. Understand? On hearing this, the other protectors smiled while looking at each other. They started to salute Jian Wushuang one by one. I pay my respects to the first protector. Jian Wushuang did not know how to react. Swordsman, I failed to recognize your strength. So please don't refuse my invitation to be the first protector, Master of Heartless Sect said. First protector, Jian Wushuang thought for a moment before nodding. Fine. The Master of Heartless Sect laughed out and spoke. Wu Jiao had been in charge of the Bloody Blade team, but now he is dead, so you can take his duty. What do you think? Okay, Jian Wushuang nodded and replied, but I will spend my time focusing on my cultivation, so unless it's something very important, I won't participate. No problem, the Master of Heartless Sect immediately agreed with it and continued, though you are just in the Yang Void realm, you have the battle strength of a half-saint expert.